Welcome to Q&A with Pixel Village. In this video, we're going to talk about the questions that appeared in the comments column on our first video on white balance. The first question comes from Dream Explorers. How higher value indicates cooler temperature in Canon? Is that opposite? Because in Canon, when I set white balance to a higher number, that looks very warm tone, and lower number shows. But anyway, what he wants to actually ask is that when you dial in a higher value, 7500 and thereabouts, it gives him a very warm image, and 3200 gives him very cool image. And I told him that 3200 indicates warm color temperature and 7500 indicates cool color temperature. Well, the camera sees these values differently. Okay, when you dial in a particular value as color temperature, for the camera, that's the temperature that you are shooting in. So you will get neutral colors only if you shoot in that color temperature scenario. Instead, if you dial in 7500 and shoot in a regular scene, which is daylight situation, contrary to your idea of cooling, it'll actually warm up because camera understands the situation as a cool situation already, and he starts adding more warmth to correct it. Similarly, if you're shooting a regular scenario with 3200, the camera start adding blue to compensate for the excess warmth the camera thinks there is. But in reality, there aren't any, or there isn't any. Hence, you start getting warm images at 7500 and cool images at 3200. So, you can get misguided, but this is the reason. The next question comes from Bhavesh Devasi. I have a 6D Mark II. It has a highest raw file resolution of 6240 into 4160. So, what is the highest print I can take? Please tell me in inches or feet. Okay. Now, the highest size depends on your output format. If you are using it for offset printing, like printing for magazines, you can use it only up to a certain size, which is 100% at 300 dpi. Okay. If you are using it for your, let's say, viewing on screen, you don't require that kind of resolution. Now, the 300 dpi indicates the print resolution, not the capture resolution. Okay, it's a bit confusing. You need to understand print and related resolutions to understand it very well. That actually calls for another video on printing later. Subsequently, we're planning something like that. So, if you are going to print offset using offset colors, magazines and newspapers, etc., you will require a very high resolution final image. So, let's say 300 dpi will give you an X maximum printable size, and for printing on an inkjet paper may not require that kind of resolution, which means you can make a much bigger print. Outdoors and billboards don't require, they print at 9 and 12 pixels per inch. Okay, so you can have a huge print which can plaster the skies from the same image. Similarly, for computer screens, it is 72 dpi. It's good enough. Those JPEGs can be really big. The conclusion is, it'll depend on where your image is going to end up, or where your image is going to be used eventually. One size for offset, another one for a digital inkjet, for viewing is another, and billboards and signboards, very huge. You can actually find this out in your Photoshop. So you go to image size in Photoshop and do a little exercise there by changing the resolutions with 6080 into 4160 as your document size, keep changing your resolution, and you will actually see the size of your document changing. I got another interesting question from Bhavesh. If we are getting almost similar results in auto mode, then why do focus on custom? Very valid question. Well, auto mode uses the dominant light as its reference for white balancing. Suppose if you have another stray light from some corners, you will not be able to get a proper white balance. So, while auto white balance is good for a lot of situations, if you know what the white balance of the light that you are using, it is likely to get you a more accurate and better result than leaving it to auto. But like I said, if that light is your dominant light, well, auto white balance will work for you. Especially in situations where I use the word run and gun, which is the very popular term in the photography world. In run and gun situations, you don't have too much time to think. Work in auto mode, it'll solve most of your problem. We also would like to thank the viewers for pointing out certain mistakes that we've been making, like using degree in front of Kelvin. We stand corrected. It is not degree Kelvin, it's just plain simple Kelvin. And thanks for pointing out that, and we're going to bank a lot on you people to kind of, wherever it is necessary, to kind of point out mistakes, suggest modifications, improvements, etc. And you're welcome, and thank you for that. So those were our answers to the question that appeared in the comments column of White Balance Part 1, the link for which you can find in the description box below. So please watch the videos, keep writing to us, subscribe, share, and like our video. Bye for now.